Well, good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons. And here is a very elegant lemon. And this is the personal lemon of Frater Akkad. It even says Akkad there in Hebrew at the bottom. Number 13, which is the number which means one or unity and stuff. There's Parsival. That's his magical OTO name, Par Siv All there, and there's the initials of his motto. Now Crowley suggests, or just magicians in general suggest that you not only make a pantacle for yourself, which is sort of your magical weapon of the disc, which contains your a roadmap, if you will, of what you currently think the universe is, and a pattern. It's otherwise, where can you start to at least pretend to do your magic, So, but the lemon is a little something else. It's more like a shield, a shield that not only that more than protects a shield, it announces your essence, your will. I'm not going to talk about lemons today. I just got this book out and was thinking about sharing something from Frater Akkad and myself for you this morning. But in order to look up that Frater Akkad thing, I had to get out my old copy of the Equinox. Now this is Equinox Volume 3. There wasn't a Volume 2. A Volume 3, Number 1. And this was originally printed in the United States with the help of Frater Akkad. And I believe it was first published in Detroit. Crowley was traveling around. And there it is. Now, I don't have a valuable occult library. I'm not a collector, okay? I do have a valuable library, but it's not a collector's library, okay? I actually use my books. At least during the first 2 or 3 years of their existence in my house. But I have books that I treasure and that have become for me magical instruments in and of themselves. This particular book I found in the mail, along with the Jimmy Page hardbound edition of the Goetia, and one other, the Thelema Publications, which is Helen Parsons Smith, Conks on Pox, I believe. And no, it was The Soul of the Desert. Anyway, that's beside the point. It was an unsolicited gift with an invoice from Helen Parsons Smith, okay? And it was 1973, just a few months after my Minerval initiation, maybe even after my first degree initiation, which Helen was one of the officers at my first degree OTO initiation. And I got the Blue Equinox because at my Minerval initiation, Grady McMurtry, my initiator, at the dinner table got out his version of the Blue Equinox, which was a first edition, which was 1920 something. Anyway, it was older than this one, and he pushed it across the table and he said, "This is your programming manual for the OTO." And because it has all of the OTO documents, an intimation with the reference to the Constitution, the manifesto, things like that, official OTO documents that were, at the time they were written, at least Crowley's vision for the structure, the mechanisms of an organization, initiatory society. The initiation ceremonies themselves aren't in here because those were kept proprietary from well, mostly at the time from Wilfred Smith. Anyway, what am I saying? I've turned this book. This is a 1973 edition, Weiser edition, but it has become for me not only my programming manual for my life and involvement in the organization of the OTO, but it's become a treasure for me. And over the years, I've put things in it, including probably the best picture. I'll never look better than that, so I went ahead and put that in there. And then I've showed this to you before, my initiatory initiation record that I, in my remedial handwriting, and here's my the record of my ecclesiastical things. Let's see, where is that? Here's the ecclesiastical things. And, you know, and oh, there's just, it's a beautiful edition. The reason I had it out this morning, oh, I think in the back I've got another picture. And I've put all of this in years later. There's me in another robe. For many years, I wore this robe. This is Grady's robe. This is the robe he wore when he initiated me in all of my degrees up till the fifth. Wow, gee. Even the fifth, yes. Anyway, of course, when I was a priest, I wore a white robe underneath it and no turban there. But I got this out because it had a wonderful article, little essay by Frater Akkad himself, which was the subject of my Saturday morning cartoons. I'm finally getting around to it. And that's this article, or this little essay called Stepping Out of the Old Aeon into the New. Now, this is a roundabout way for me to come around to the subject of today's talk, because all of my magical career, okay, and we're talking 50 years plus here now, I have been listening to, responding to, defending what I consider to be a non-existent conflict between solar magic, solar rituals, and no, not solar rituals, not solar magic, not lunar magic, not lunar rituals. I'm talking about solar worship and lunar worship. Okay. Now, in technical ways, there's certainly a difference. Okay. And when I hear criticism about the Gnostic Mass, oh, it's so solar. I'm a lunar gal or I'm a lunar guy. Okay. You're talking apples and oranges here. Okay. Certainly there's wonderful lunar rites. The moon has a Kabbalah all of its own and a magical mechanisms all their own. That's fine. It's good. And it is connected male, female, and things like that. Okay. But you're missing the big thelemic worship point by saying, in a sense, that there's an opposite to anything. If something is so small it has an opposite, it's not the biggest thing. And this does have something to do with the sun. The sun that is the object of worship in classic thelemic magic. Okay? And I'm going to, Frater Akkad in that Blue Equinox has an article called Stepping Out of the Old Aeon into the New. And if you've never read it, Google it and find it. You can read it in 5 minutes. Okay. It helps you do a little mind experiment whereby you move the center of your consciousness from the surface of the earth, which is apparently flat. Go out and look, it looks flat. And you move your consciousness in imagination to the sun. So instead of standing on the earth, okay, just pretend for a second. In your imagination, go to the sun. And your whole universe expands. You don't even have the same idea of up and down anymore. You're free from that. You're the sun surrounded by, you can pretend the belt of the zodiac. It's like a move. It's like an expansion. Is it the ultimate expansion? No. But it's the next one up. Just like the pentagram ritual deals with the 4 directions. Then you can say the 4 elements and stuff like that. And you've got your archangels and stuff, but you're still standing on a flat earth saying, okay, face east. Where's east when you're on the sun? And that Frater Akkad little article obliges you and takes you painlessly across that threshold. Okay, now now can you see the subcategory of what you used to think was male, female solar worship, up, down, right, left, black, white? All of a sudden, that goes. And that's why that's why a magician moves from learning the pentagram ritual and feeling very comfortable mastering the elemental 4 directions and the 4 terrestrial winds and things like that. You get very comfortable with doing that. Then you move to the hexagram ritual, where you're obliged to see yourself as the sun, instead of the little tiny ant magician on the surface of a flat earth. Now you're the sun surrounded by the belt of the zodiac, and now the elemental rulerships depend upon the fixed signs of the zodiac, or other landmarks are fixed at the cardinal signs, And if you're really flexible, the mutable signs. But anyway, yesterday I was reminded that this book, Angels, Demons, and Gods of the New Millennium, was early on, back in the 90s, I think still, was translated into and published in Greece, published in Greek. And yesterday I saw a beautiful picture of it. I think I got one upstairs someplace. Can't read it, but anyway, with that in mind, I talk about the precession of the equinoxes and the equinoxes of the gods and things, and the precession of the equinoxes and the metamorphosis of the gods is one of the main articles in this. And I talk about the different aeons, the Aeon of Isis and nourishment and matriarchies, and the Aeon of Osiris, the obsession with death and life and patriarchies, and then now the Aeon of Horus. And I've gotten to this point, the Aeon of Horus, the formula of the crowned and conquering child. Earlier, or just a couple pages back, we learned that long after our Isis age ancestors solved the reproductive mysteries, because early on there, we knew we liked to roll in the hay with each other, but we really didn't have a 9-month attention span. Okay. And we more or less thought that babies just miraculously, magically popped out of the woman after she goes through this 9-moon cycle. She just pops and out in a flood of water comes surfing, and she duplicates all by herself. That's big magic. Okay, but I digress. Long after our Isis age ancestors solved the reproductive mysteries, they continued to cling to a magical formula that originated at that time. Okay, and much of that carries over to the magical technology that deals with that lunar thing. But I digress. They continued to cling to a magical formula that originated at a time when it was believed that all life came spontaneously from woman and earth. So too in the Aeon of Osiris. That's just the previous one, the death cult, dying god. So too in the Aeon of Osiris. Long after it was common knowledge that the earth revolves around the sun, the great religious and political institution continued to be obsessed with death and resurrection, as if they still believed that the sun died every day. We're not over that yet. We're still having problems with people pushing their religion on others, and the religion that they're pushing is still operating as if the sun died every day and needs to come back through specific magical rules that you must follow. Otherwise, it may not come back. Okay. But I digress. In 340 BC, Aristotle surmised that during a lunar eclipse, it is the shadow of the earth that darkens the moon. As the shadow was obviously round, he proclaimed that the earth was a sphere. It was also clear that to Aristotle that the sun did not die, but it radiated continuously. He continued to believe, however, that the earth was still the center of the universe, and the sun and all the other heavenly bodies revolved about us. And he even made machines, little mechanisms that assumed that all these other planets and stuff were moving in all these crazy directions while we stood still. Night was just an illusion caused by the shifting shadow of the earth as the sun passed behind us each day. Ptolemy, in the 2nd century AD, enlarged Aristotle's theory by postulating that the earth, still the center of the universe, was, as it were, at the center of a glass onion, surrounded by 8 spherical layers containing the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and then beyond that, the fixed stars. He did not speculate what might be on the sphere of the fixed stars, and that pleased the young Christian church no end, because now they had a universe with room for a heaven and hell. In 1514, Nicholas Copernicus, a Polish priest, cautiously put forward the idea that the sun was suspended in a fixed position and the earth and all the planets orbited in circular paths. Nobody paid much attention to Copernicus until nearly 100 years later, when Johannes Kepler in Germany and Galileo Galilei in Italy dusted off his work and found themselves in agreement. To drive the final stake into the heart of Aristotle, Ptolemy, and the church, Galileo, in 1609, peered through his newly invented telescope and observed moons happily orbiting the planet Jupiter. This information displeased the church very much. Galileo was accused of advancing a scripturally incorrect model of the universe. Oh, I won't go. We're not too far beyond that. Just listen to some congresswomen and men. Have you ever visited the Noah's Ark theme park? Okay. After all, if the Earth revolved around the sun and other moons could orbit other planets, then the Earth could not be God's unique creation. Galileo was forced to disclaim his findings. Even with the disapproval of the church, it didn't take long for the theory of our heliocentric solar system to become the unquestioned reality for all but the most isolated or mentally disenfranchised inhabitants of our planet. Have you listened even for a moment to the flat earth people? I mean, they're out there right now. For hundreds of years, mothers have assured their little ones at bedtime that the sun is not gone, but only shining on the other side of the world. It is this simple, reassuring truth that's the key to the formula of the Aeon of Horus. It's not the formula of nourishment, like Isis, not the formula of based upon the magic of life, catastrophe, and resurrection, but a formula simply based on the magic of continual growth. In the Aeon of Isis, we identified with the earth. Life came miraculously from earth and woman. All magical pantheons were aspects of the goddess. Death was a mystery whose depths were impossible to plumb. In the Aeon of Osiris, we identified with the dying and resurrected sun. All magical pantheons were aspects of God the Father. Death could be magically overcome by obedience to formulae, rites, and doctrine. In the Aeon of Horus, we identify with the self-radiant, ever-living sun. All magical pantheons have become aspects of ourselves. We, like the sun, do not die. Death, like night, is an illusion. Life is now seen as a process of continual growth, and humanity is developing a consciousness of the continuity of existence that will eventually dissolve the sting of death. What pantheon of gods could possibly preside over a world where every man and every woman is a star, self-radiant and co-equal to every other star in the universe? What powers or agencies still govern an environment populated by independent creative beings? The answer becomes obvious when we grasp the fact that we're running out of cosmic elbow room. When all is said and done, worshippers of the new millennium are left with three fundamental deities. The absolutely biggest one, the absolutely smallest one, and the one that is everything between the other two. The new Aeon devotees still worship the great goddess, the goddess of infinite space, whose body forms the expanding universe. Her symbolic form is that of the circumference of a circle. She is woman, mother, earth, on a cosmic scale. All that ever was, is, and is to come is nestled within her body. The Isean formula of spontaneous life and nourishment has been amended to encompass the entire universe. It is now the milk of the stars which flows from her paps. The new Aeon devotees still worship the All-Father as an equal and counterpart to the great goddess, but he is the universe infinitely contracted. His symbolic form is a point in the center of the circle. There is absolute equality between these two infinities, for one could not be without the other. The Osirian formula of life, death, and resurrection has been transcended to reveal a self-perpetuated and continuous resurrection. New Aeon devotees still worship the offspring of the great goddess and the All-Father. The conception of this child is the result of lovemaking on the grandest scale imaginable. Because the Father is an infinite in and the goddess is an infinite out, both infinities are in constant state of contact. This great in and out creates a friction which produces a third infinity, a child, a field of operation in which the entire universe can manifest and grow. We stand at the millennial dawn of a great spiritual liberation. I hope we can hang on. Oh, obviously, we're still struggling with the responsibilities that accompany such awesome freedom. That's for sure. Most likely, it'll take a long time before a greater reality is universally accepted and a new aeon actually dawns. Each new discovery in the fields of astronomy and physics titillates us with speculations about where we're headed. Perhaps Stephen Hawking and the great minds of our age stand as the Keplers and the Galileos of an age to follow, the Age of Horus. An aeon that will generate a new and inconceivably magnificent pantheon of gods. So, that's that. That's from Angels, Demons, Gods of the New Millennium. It's out of print in Greek, but it is still in print and sold by our good friends at Weiser today. If you don't have it, it's also in the first edition of the book. I had a fold out of the angels of the Shemhamferish as they corresponded to the tarot cards and the Goetic spirits and the degrees of the zodiac and things like that. Unfortunately, Weiser found that cost prohibitive to keep going. But if you get the book, if you have the book, you can email me and I'll at least send you a PDF of it or a TIFF or something like that, and you can print it out and tuck it in there. Anyway, that's it for Saturday Morning Cartoons. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow for Sunday school. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.